Hey guys, welcome to this new video. Today we're gonna talk about why do you need to think global and international while moving to Asia. So maybe my question sounds strange, like, and you say, why, if I wanna move to Asia, I still need to think global? And then maybe there is a lot of things that are hidden and that you don't see yet because you didn't move abroad yet, or maybe there is a lot of things that you didn't figure out that are very important for expatriates. So in this video, I will try to explain you a little bit what is behind and what we never share while moving to Asia, especially basically to emerging countries, and what do you need to keep in mind, because years after years you get older, either you take an expat position in a specific country, or whether you have some investment and some saving on the side, but after some years you may burn and you may somehow use those savings. So you need to prepare and you need to be sure that you are planning enough and you are enough kind of careful to know that you will last. And I'm pretty sure some of the things that I'm going to share in this video really divide the people who are failing, and you see that they are coming back to their country after 1, 2, 3 years because they couldn't succeed in their expatriation journey, and others, you see them after 5, 10 years, they are still there, and there's are sometimes even more, having a stronger business, having a stronger wealth. And those people usually they took care and they were kind of educated and aware about the most important things they shouldn't forget while moving abroad. And in this video, we're gonna talk about the 5 flag theory. I will tell you what I think about that theory that many people who are chasing the freedom are aiming and are kind of being devoted for, and I will tell you why I think it's not somehow so relevant for some people. And then I'm going to kind of share you some hidden numbers, so things that I never share on this YouTube channel, and I will see you a little bit what is behind Move to Asia and what are the things that I don't necessarily want to show on YouTube because it's totally personal. So I will try to reveal you what is behind, so you can see a little bit, like the iceberg. You have the visible aspect that you see that people can share about their expatriation journey, but you have also things that are more personal, more private, and then that sometimes you don't really want to share. So in this video, I'll try to reveal you some of the kind of crunchy numbers about my business and my future. So first, what about the 5 flag theory? So this is a theory that people who are dreaming about freedom are kind of putting as the leitmotif that everyone should face for. Usually it's what? It's like you're gonna diversify your personal life as well as your business and investment life to be able to be really like in control of everything. So let's take an example. I'm French, right? So I have a French passport. Then I won't choose to live in France if I wanna be diversified, right? So let's say I will go to another country. So I will choose the country that we call the playground. So basically this is the country where I will spend some time every year, maybe 3, 4, 5 months, traveling, you don't really commit to that country, then you can find that you like this place. So you will really spend time in this country. For instance, it can be Asia, right? Before the pandemic, it was quite easy to cross borders, quite easy to spend 1 month, sometimes 3 months to different countries. Many people were having this lifestyle before the pandemic. So this is more on the personal aspect, right? Now, what about the business? Then you may choose a jurisdiction to incorporate your company if you are an entrepreneur. That will be tax friendly, right? So we know most of the common jurisdiction, you have Hong Kong in Asia, you have Singapore. If we go to the other side of the globe, you have some parts of the US that are very tax friendly, and many people are incorporating their companies over there. For instance, the state that is the Delaware is very famous for digital nomad and people who are working online to incorporate their companies over there. Why? Because basically you can get access to anything, right? So if you are working online, maybe you are selling goods, you can get access to Stripe, TransferWise, for instance. That can be very important if you want to run a business globally that is flexible but still, very competitive with very good rates and easy to maintain. Then you have your company that is registered in the part of the world, and then you will also choose where you want to invest, right? So let's say you are someone that doesn't want to take so much risk, then you can choose a place in Europe. You have some countries like Portugal or in Eastern Europe that you can own a property, you can put $50,000, $100,000 every, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years while living overseas. So you can start to prepare and start to allocate some of your investments over there. Then obviously over there, you will get an income for those real estate investments, or somehow, the currency that you will get from those countries may be different from the country that you are living in. I'm currently in Vietnam. I've been living here for a while. Here, if you do business in Vietnam, you will get VND, right? Vietnam Dong. So maybe you don't trust so much the currency, or maybe you wouldn't really know how the country is going to change in the next, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years. So maybe you want to think global, being diversified. So if you have, I don't know, a business overseas, or if you do some investments overseas, then even if you live in Vietnam, it's like you don't have all your eggs in the same basket. So this is the other component of the 5 flag theory. How do you structure your business and your investment? And usually everything should be decorrelated. Let's say if I'm French, it's not I will choose to live in France, right? Or it's not I will choose to invest in France. And it's the same, I won't put my company in France. And if you really think global, and if you really keep that vision while moving overseas, you can really structure something that is kind of strong, that you can last over the decade, and that you're sure that you will be able to make it grow, and it can really be a better protection to face crisis, to face recession, and even to prepare for your retirement. So before I give you some example and I show you some of the crunchy numbers, and I can give you some exact numbers about that to illustrate some of the things I share now. Why do I think that this 5 flag theory is not always something that you need to follow? Usually when you choose the place that you're going to spend time, this is what I called before the playground. I mean, you want to enjoy your time, have good vibe while you are living in a country. You can go to Asia, you can go to South America, you can go to Europe. I don't know what's your taste, right? Let's say if I'm more someone who like Asia, I would want to come here, spend time here in this part of the world. Obviously, 1 or 2 times per year, you can go back to Europe. I mean, you do it your own way. But let's say if you want to also be tax resident in a certain country, if you really want to optimize everything, in Asia you don't have so much choice. So you have Thailand that is pretty friendly if you want to really settle your tax residency. But beside that, I think you have also Malaysia, but you don't have so much choice. And sometimes you choose countries and you really want to spend time in countries, and you don't really want to take care of that, tax vision and say, hey, I'm spending time in that country, I can pay some tax, it's going to just help the country to grow, and then somehow you are spending time in the country, right? So I feel that it's more fair if you are paying tax in the country that you also want to live in. And I don't see myself doing like some people working online who want to count every penny and choose that they want to really find the perfect jurisdiction to be living in. And some people live in Malta, or live in Estonia. So I never been there, but I heard from other digital nomads that it's not really a perfect place to be living in. And of course, most of those people, they are based there and they choose that place to be kind of their tax residency just for a tax perspective. But I really think after a while, if you, maybe the first year, the second year, you really want to save a lot and you really want to kind of focus on your business, for instance. But after a while, you don't necessarily need to count every penny. And then if you come to, for instance, Vietnam or even other countries in this part of the world, then just when you check the cost of living and the budget that you need to spend every month, of course you will have to pay some tax, right? Because if you want to spend more than 6 months in Vietnam, you will be considered as tax resident. So if you want to do things properly, and here this is where you have the gray area, and so people are like, I'm living here more than 6 months, but I don't want to pay my tax. This is just your own concern. But if you really want to do things properly, you decide to live in Vietnam for more than 6 months, then you have a tax ID, right? This tax ID can help you also to invest. So this is very important. For instance, I invest offshore, right? For instance, in the US, I have stocks, I have ETF, I have a diversified and global strategy that I share in another video that you can find on YouTube here. And then if I want to do that, right, I need to have a proper situation somewhere. And then because I spend time in Vietnam, for me it's normal to pay some taxes, but still to have some benefits. And I prefer to be, in a city and in a country that I have everything that I need. I enjoy the food, the weather is perfect, the country is very big, so you can go anywhere. For the last 2 years, there were a global pandemic, but somehow as expats living here, we didn't really see it, because things are very diverse here. So if you want to go to a very, very rural area, you can just take your bike and go there. If you want to have something fancy, you just go to big cities and you can have this lifestyle. I mean, we have everything here. So it's just a matter of finding which place is suitable for you. And so I'm not really counting, and then want it absolutely to be 100% aligned in this 5 flag theory. I know people who are, dreaming a lot and thinking, that they want to have 100% control of their personal life, on their business life. They would want to tend to this, and I think it's a very good vision to keep. But you don't need to always be very strict and tight yourself too much to this 5 flag theory. And if you just love a country, just settle there, just get your tax residency there. If you want to buy real estate, just buy real estate. And of course, don't go all and put all eggs in the same basket, right? But you can allocate some part of your investment, some part of your business, of course, to the local country that you are living in. And it makes me switch to the second point that is very important. You need to think global, so you need as well to keep that big vision of diversifying your personal life, your finance life, on the personal aspect, but as well on your business angle. But you also need to think local. And if you can kind of give some weight to how globally you need to be and how local you need to be, maybe it will be something like 70-30 or 40-60. It depends how much commit you want to be in the country that you choose to live, and that's not your home country, right? For instance, in Vietnam, if you choose to invest here and to set up a company, you can get long-term visa. But on the other side, even if I have a business that is diversified geographically on different locations, on different currencies, and I'm going to show you some of the numbers very soon, you can still choose to set up a company in Vietnam just to get those benefits. And then on other benefits, you can also choose to hire a team, right? To build a team. And this is something that I found in Asia. Here you can find good people. You can find people that are kind of very optimistic, very willing to learn from a foreign mindset. And then when they work for your company, when they work for people who are foreigners, they will be super willing to and super curious to learn a little bit your secrets and how do you do these things. And then I feel that it's a very somehow good commitment if after a while you also choose to set up a company, hire some people in the country that you are living in. So you don't always have to think 100% about I'm going to maximize everything and I'm going to be like the guru and follow the 5 flag theory at the maximum. But sometimes you can be a little bit more easy on yourself and then say that, okay, this is just something that is good to do and is something that is aligned with my long-term plan. So you can kind of break your own rule and say that on this, I'm willing to take extra risks, but it will always be something that you weight the different pros and cons, and then you choose something that is relevant for you. Now, finally, I come back to a little bit the secret and what I wanted to share you today that I never reveal on this YouTube channel. I made a video maybe a year or a year and a half ago to share a little bit about the other side of my business, the e-commerce and the affiliate website that I've been building over the last 6 years. And since the beginning, since I left France 7 years ago, I keep that diversified mindset. And I really, when I dedicate time on the business to build a business, I really try to make it as much scalable as possible, but as much diversified as possible. So now I'm going to show you on the screen, this is a website. So every day, I got some visitors on this website. And actually, this website I created, it's an Italian website. I don't speak Italian, right? So I just hired someone who is Italian. And then I kind of copy and I kind of get influence from a French website and I duplicate it to Italy. So this website was launched in end of 2019. And I really see those websites as muse. And it's something Tim Ferriss is talking a lot in his book, The 4-Hour Workweek. When you think like this, when you think assets and when you are building businesses that you will structure in a certain way that they will be very passive, then those kind of business, they will generate you a little bit of money, but months after months and years after years. And if you see now, this is the affiliate platform I'm working with. So this is a private platform. So basically I catch the traffic from my initial website, and then if someone want to buy, I send the person to a health and pharmacy website. And when you see a little bit, I send not so many people per day, right? It's like 80 to 100% per day. But this very tiny website that generates from 2,000 to 3,000 people per month, so it's not a lot, still this website managed to generate me from 10 to 30 euro per day. So let's be honest, this is not a lot, right? Just 10, 30 euro per day, sometimes it's even zero. You cannot expect to live and to really, burn your vessels and then go to Asia and just live with that. But let's say you dedicate 2-3 years to do that, and you try to be consistent and you really try to put effort every time you do a website. Here, this is a website, but everyone will see and everyone should see this angle of building Muse, or building systems, or building passive investments with their own experience. I know we compare very often those websites to properties. Of course, this website is not a physical property, right? But when you look at a website that got every month visitors, and this website got and convert those visitors and generate sales, then from my perspective of seeing the website and of seeing all this ecosystem of what you can build online, this is almost as if I own a property in Italy. So of course, the budget that I invested to build this tiny property, right, this tiny asset online, is way, way, way lower than buying a physical property. But if you keep that mindset, and if you really think long term, if you really say, I'm going to try to dedicate some time to learn a technology, to learn a new trend, then you really need to put effort. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying, in one day you can do that. But I started 7 years ago. And when I started that, at the beginning it didn't work. I'm not saying that I found the magic formula right at the beginning. But because I started this way, then finally, this is how you keep, and this is how you have the long-term mindset. Now, the e-commerce is growing very fast. I'm going to show you now another website, and this one is now for 2020. So this is the sales are generating for the affiliate platform I'm working with. So it's around 380,000 euro for 1 year. So it sounds a lot, but this is physical products. So of course I didn't earn that. I was just an affiliate. So I just earned a cut. And this website is actually for French market. I'm selling French product on this website. And when you start to accumulate, and when you start to doing months after months and years after years, you really have something that is sustainable and that can really help you to carry your life overseas. You see, for this e-commerce platform, some days is very big, some days it's like 6K of sales per day, some days is very low, but we don't care about that. What is important is the way you're gonna multiply, and then you have a compound effect that will somehow multiply everything that you do. So those numbers are not numbers to show off, and not numbers to say, hey, I have this, so I'm easy forever. No, I'm not saying that it was easy, and I'm not saying that it's gonna sustain forever. The only thing I want in this video is that you need to keep that mindset. You need to keep that diversified mindset. If you really want to come to Asia, you should plan it. You should prepare it in advance. If you have real estate overseas, if you made investments before, keep that real estate. Don't sell your house. Just turn your house to maybe an Airbnb. Turn your house to maybe long term, if now Airbnb is not really the perfect time. But think about how can you keep assets that can be physical assets, right? Like an apartment in a country. Or think digital and think those kind of real estate that you can jump into. And I'm not saying, again, it's very easy, and I'm not saying everyone can do that. You need to acquire knowledge. You can start to buy and to follow some e-learning trainings, or just go to meet entrepreneurs in the real life, and so you can learn from them how did they get started, and if you see any kind of correlation and think that you could implement for your own. So here is for this video. I hope it gives you a better understanding about why important is it to keep a global and international mindset and preparation while moving to emerging countries such as Vietnam. Leave me your comment below and tell me what do you think about the 5 flag theory, as well as your perspective and your feeling about keeping assets overseas while coming to Asia and thinking again diversified and thinking global. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And I'ma get it right, dead on sight like